doing great about that, other than trying to help people who are in a state of disease. Welcome back to the Immigration Answer Show. My hair's looking crazy. How's everybody doing? Welcome back. Welcome back, TikTok. Welcome back, YouTube, LinkedIn, X, aka Twitter, and of course our Facebook group, Immigrant Home. Are you guys in our Facebook group? Do you guys know about that? There's like 15,000 people who are concerned about the immigration process that talk to each other in there all the time. I try to pop in when I can to answer questions. How's everybody doing? Good to see everybody. Let me know if you're new and you're watching. Let us know where you're watching from so we can all say hello. I'll be here for the next hour trying to answer your immigration questions. And in fact, I got to leave right at 12:25, so it'll be a tight 1 hour show. And I'm going to start off with I-45 question. Hello.
Hi, Jim. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
How are you doing today?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Thank you so much for all you do. I've been watching this show for like a while now.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I'm just going to give a brief of my timeline. So I'm currently 23 years old. I came into the country at 16 with my dad. So at the time we came, obviously I didn't know that I was overstaying, but I did overstay my B1, B2 visa. And I found out while I was in school, I was trying to get a job. I couldn't get a job because I didn't have socials. So apparently I was undocumented then. But I was able to get scholarships to go to college. And so I met my girlfriend in high school, but we got married last year, 2024.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And then we got married November. We filed December 2024. At the time, because I watched all your videos about the evidences. So we had the lease, the apartment we're living together, all the utility bills, some pictures. Obviously, we didn't have that much marriage evidence then. But I was able to get my EAD like in January. Like it was super quick. I think it was like 28 days or so. So I got my EAD. I got my driver's license. So we filed taxes together because I get 1098 from my school because of my scholarships. So we filed that together, and then we had an interview 2 weeks ago, and so while we were preparing for the interview, by the way, we did the whole case ourselves.
Because the what yourselves?
Like the whole filing process, the I-45, the I-130, I-765, and I-864. So we used resources from your videos, other people's videos, Reddit, Facebook, to like the questions. Our parent, they were the co-sponsors. We got married after they met my dad back home. I'm from Nigeria. So we fought all of that. But while we're praying for the interview, I noticed that I made 2 errors on my I-485.
Okay.
I think the question about have you ever violated the non-immigrant visa, since I didn't work, so I thought I didn't know overstaying was the violation, so I put no. And then the question about unlawful presence, I put no for those 2 questions. But when we got to the interview, I told the officer that I overstayed my visa, and I explained to him that I came in at 16. I was young. I didn't know that I was overstaying, and he understood. I think he made corrections that I signed on the iPad or something.
Yep.
And then he told us the interview was like 10 minutes in total. Like he just asked me like 5 yes no questions about gangs, if I ever been in trouble, which I've never been in. And then he was most of the time just asking my wife, like my spouse, like how we met and like what is day to day. They mostly talked about our because she's a nurse now. So they mostly talk about our work rather than my immigration status. So it was 10 minutes. It was pretty chill. He told us he was going to approve our case. And then, we were out of there. The I-130 got approved the next day.
Yeah.
But the I-485 has been stuck on interview scheduled since the interview. So
Which was how long ago? 2 weeks ago, you said?
Yes, around 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So I spoke to a lawyer here in because I'm a dreamer. So through my scholarship we do get access to like immigration counseling. So I
Yeah.
spoke to the lawyer about it, and I said I was worried that I was thinking because my errors were probably the reason why the I-485 was being delayed. He said sometimes the systems don't update, and like sometimes like people receive their green card before the I-485 gets updated like on the online portal. I just want to get your insight on like the situation.
I think that someone who's been in the United States for as long as you have without status, who had a couple little mistakes related to their status on their 45, and the fact that we're living in the second Trump administration, I'm not surprised that the I-130 got approved right away. Obviously, they believe your marriage. They just have a question as to whether or not you can actually adjust. So I would say it's probably just going to be a couple of weeks while they work it out. They probably have to talk to their supervisor, do some other checks and stuff, but it sounds like everything's okay.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. So
Yeah.
I was just worried about that. Okay. Thank you so much, Jim.
All right, good luck. Let us know when you get your green card, okay?
I will. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks for the call. All right. Hopefully he gets that green card soon. I'm going to go to Yulia, Kate, Sana, and MH. But of course, Yulia, no cameras. We're all off camera. So there you go. All right. She's ready. Let's go. Hi, Yulia.
Hi, Jam. So my question is regarding timeline. So I've been married and I filed for green card with my husband. Then I filed for extension, and I was following your advice. I applied for citizenship as soon as I was eligible, and they scheduled my interview on July 17th. However, I have a trip planned at the beginning of September. It's like first week of September, starting August 31st. And I was wondering if you have any insight on the timeline, if I'm able to go through the interview. I'm also planning to take my husband's last name, and I indicated in my N400 when I was applying. And if I've also, you mentioned there are some offices that are allowed to take oaths right after the interview. Long story short, I need to understand the timeline that I have at this point, because ideally, obviously, I don't want to postpone interview.
Right. What field office would it be for
Chicago.
you?
Chicago.
Okay. So Chicago doesn't do same day ceremonies. So, and if you're doing a name change, my understanding is, as silly as this sounds, they have to do a background check on your new name, and so they check to see if the person with your new name has any criminal records, which is impossible because you're the first person to start using that name that way, if that makes sense. So yeah. That in and of itself will delay it. So if your interview is in, what'd you say, July
17th, yeah,
and your trip is early September?
Yeah, it's like I depart August 31st. Yeah.
How long of a trip?
A week.
Yeah, I don't think this will be a problem. I think that go to your interview. I might fill them in, even bring a written note as to when your travel is. I just had a Nats interview in Chicago, very, very straightforward case for a nurse, and we haven't heard back yet. So I think that with a marriage 751 pending and an N400, I think you'll probably find out or have your ceremony after your trip. Are you going to have anybody checking your mail while you're gone, or will you be able to access?
Yeah.
So I think most likely, if you get approved and if you tell them of your travel plans, most likely, I think the chances of this conflicting with your actual trip are very, very small. And if they do, then you just go there a week before your trip and tell them, hey, you guys scheduled me during my trip. I'll be back. I mean, because the other piece is, if you become a citizen too quickly, and then you have to travel on a U.S. passport, and you might not be able to get that in time for your trip. So, obviously, I'm always wanting people to become a citizen first. That's first and foremost my number one concern. But for this one, I'm not too worried about it, because I think most likely everything's going to happen after you come back.
So you're saying that's going to be so late because I'm changing my name, right? If I keep my name.
Yeah, I think that kicks it a month almost automatically.
Okay. But then it will be pretty much a lot harder to change it after, right?
Oh, no, you should change it. I would do it now for sure. That's fine.
Now rather than later, right?
Mm-hmm. It's free. and it's easy. So do it now, and then, I mean, you really don't want to become a citizen before your trip because that's just going to make it hard because you're going to have to rush really hard to get a passport. You are in Chicago, so you can do it there in Chicago, so that's nice. But I think I would just, I wouldn't worry about any of this too much. I would just let the process play out, and if you pass your test and everything, at the end of your interview, just say, "Hey, look, just so you know, do you have any sense as to when my ceremony might be? I'm going to be out of the country, right?
Yeah.
Out of the country for this week, August 31st to September 7th. Is there any way you guys can work around that?" And they probably will. Chicago's pretty chill.
Okay, and I can travel with my expired green card and extension letter, pretty much, right?
In your passport. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's what I have right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so shouldn't be a problem at all, sounds like.
Get studying for that test, girl.
Yeah. Thank you.
See ya, bye. I was at a Nats interview yesterday, and I was sitting right next to my client, which doesn't always happen, so I could see what he was writing on his pad, and he spelled Mexico Mexico, and so I was worried. And States looked a little bit funny too. I couldn't really read his handwriting on States, but it was sort of over to the side. Those iPads are weird because if your hand touches it, it sort of messes up your printing. I was worried she was very well, let's just say she wasn't in the best of spirits, and so she wasn't feeling so great. So we were trying to make her happy. But anyway, I thought she might ding him for Mexico, Mexico, but it went through fine. And you know, that sounds like a phonetic way of spelling it, Mexico. It all went fine. So we had some other things we got to deal with, but he passed the test, so that's good. So Kate, Sana, MH, and Suber. Hello, Kate.
Hi, Jim. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you doing?
Happy to hear. I'm good. Thank you. My question is about this. Yeah, what's going to happen to me? So I was transferred to the US in 2021 on H1 visa from Germany. And then I got married. We applied for the permanent residency. That was January 2023. I'm sorry, 2021. 2022. 2022.
You married a U.S. citizen?
That's right. And for a year we've been living together. Then things started. Yeah, like we separated basically. We still married, but we don't live together. I live on my own in the same city, actually quite close to him. But yeah, we're not together anymore. And last year, October, I got an invitation for an interview. I went there on my own and I explained that I live on my own right now. And on April 1st this year, they sent me a letter asking for additional or for like proof of us living together, any bills, affidavits, all of that. And I have time to send all the information to them to June 27th. I only have the proof of us living together and our marriage uh, from the moment we got married, and before that as well, because we knew each other for a while, until the moment we separated. So yeah, I'm just curious, like what options I have. I feel here like home. I've been here already for such a long time. Yeah, so I don't know what to do.
Okay, so did you already receive your 2-year green card, or you don't have anything yet?
No, I don't have anything yet. I only have a work authorization, so I have a job, but I only have like this permanent residency. I'm sorry, temporary residence, temporary sort of card. I live in DC.
Do you still work for the H-1B employer?
No, I stopped working for this company.
So you're telling me that, okay, so what's the date of your, or the month and year of your marriage?
January 2023.
January of 2023 is when you got married.
I'm sorry, let me just look at my documents. I'm kind of lost a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, you don't
So
know the day you got married off the top of your head. That's something that would be really problematic.
January 2023.
Okay. And when did you file for the I-130 petition?
Like a month later.
Okay. And then who moved out, you or your spouse?
I moved out.
When?
March last year.
Of 24. So you guys lived
Yeah.
together for about a year
That's right.
after marriage. Okay.
Yes.
And you're telling me that you got a green card in an I-130 and a 45 interview and you went by yourself.
I got an interview to which I went on my own.
Without a lawyer.
Without a lawyer. Yes.
Without your spouse.
Without my spouse.
I'm very interested to know how that went. So how did that go? How was the interview itself?
I think it was good. I explained because we had like a major argument with my husband, and it was, we knew that we cannot be together anymore.
Right. But tell me, I want to know about so that day you show up. So just so you know, Kate,
Yeah.
I've been an immigration lawyer since 2008. In my whole career as an immigration lawyer, I've only been to one interview on an I-130 where the couple no longer live together.
Mm-hmm.
So it had to be very unusual they expected you to show up with your spouse. So, and this was Fairfax, and I know they don't play around in Fairfax. So when they came out to get you and you were by yourself, what did the officer say?
Nothing. He just asked me why. So I explained it to him.
Okay,
He said,
in the hallway or in the office?
in the room, in the office.
So he put you under oath, he took your IDs, and then he said, "Where's your spouse?"
No. He was asking me about our marriage and how we met, all of those questions. And only like in the middle of the interview.
There was no comment at the beginning of the interview?
No.
That's bizarre.
No.
Okay. So when did the topic of the fact that your spouse wasn't there come up?
Like in the middle of the interview.
What did they say?
He said that it's a pity that he's not there, and he asked if we can try to get back together. And he said that, later he said that he will get back to me with more information on my case. Initially, he said that within 2 weeks, but it actually took like quite a long time since, the interview was in October, and I got a letter on now.
As we sit here today, you don't have a green card in your hand. So,
No.
I mean, okay, so here, I'll tell you the things that I know about your situation, okay? I know that USCIS can approve this case even without your spouse coming to the interview or participating anymore, as long as your spouse does not withdraw the I-130. Do you know whether or not your spouse must not have withdrawn the I-130 or the case?
I think it was withdrawn because I spoke to him, and he said that it was withdrawn because the immigration officer told me that his case was approved. And now my spouse, because I spoke with him recently, he said that when he logged into the system, his case was withdrawn, but I don't think he withdrawn it himself. Can ask.
He's the only person that can
He's
withdraw.
the only person? Okay, I can ask him if he can. He's the only person.
Because if the case is withdrawn, you have no status at all.
Okay, I see.
So, and this is an example of sometimes people say to me, "Jim, I just got married. I'm on an H-1B.
Mm-hmm.
Should I continue my H-1B?" And of course, the safer thing to do is to stay on the H-1B until you get a green card, because if the I-130 has not been withdrawn, what's probably going to happen is they're going to go knock on his door and ask him if he wants to withdraw it. And in fact, they'll probably encourage him to withdraw it so that they don't have to give you a green card. So I think the chances of you getting lawful permanent resident status based on this marriage are very, very low.
Mm-hmm. So what are my options right now? What shall I do? Like how?
Well, you need to figure out if it's been withdrawn, because if it's been withdrawn, then that means that it will eventually be denied, and you're going to be put into deportation because you have nothing else keeping you here.
Yeah.
If-
Can I, because I also study here. I don't know if I can become a student, international student, while staying here.
You can try that, but they might not let you. They might think that you're pending green card. If the I-130 was withdrawn, then that means probably you're out of status and you can't change status to an F1. Also, you've demonstrated immigrant intent by filing an I-45, and that's inconsistent with a non-immigrant student visa. So I think the chances of that, I mean, the fact of the matter is you should have talked to a lawyer a long time ago as soon as you moved out, right? I think the only way you're going to get your green card is if your ex-spouse says, hey, this was a valid marriage. It just didn't work out. We gave it a shot. We loved each other. It was a real marriage, but we just grew apart or whatever. Like, I think that the only shot you have of getting a green card is if your spouse is willing to help in a big way or even a small way by not withdrawing the I-130 and maybe giving an affidavit talking about why the relationship is real. I think that's your only shot, is to supplement your record, to try to prove to them that this was a real marriage, mostly on the back of the testimony of your spouse. Are you divorced?
No, we're not divorced.
Yeah, so that's weird too. So, but it also might be in your favor. So I think this whole thing has been handled way too casually and not nearly forcefully enough. And I sort of get that when you're sad and getting divorced and all that stuff. It's not fun stuff to look at, but you are barely here when it comes to immigration.
What do you mean by that?
It means you're this close to getting put into deportation. And as far as changing to a student visa or protecting your H-1B status, that's stuff you should have done a long time ago. Just hanging around thinking that getting an I-130 approved when the couple is separated is almost impossible. And to think that you could go to I'm scared that you went to that interview by yourself. I would never let somebody do that.
So I shouldn't have gone at all?
You should have gone, but you should have gone with an attorney, and you should have nailed down what your spouse is going to say beforehand. And there's a lot of stuff. And then if you were going to try to change your status, that would have been the time to do it. All right. Thanks, Kate. I'm going to move on to the next call.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye. All right. Hina's got some TikTok questions for us. Let's do it. User 640. Misrepresentation, marriage fraud. Can they cancel my green card? Well, that's a very cryptic statement. Misrepresentation, marriage fraud. Can they cancel my green card? But based on what you've said, I'd say yes, they can cancel your green card. Chef Tiago, is there an end to this craziness? Not anytime soon. We're only 4.5 months into the Trump administration. Basement Fox, can you be arrested by ICE at your naturalization interview? Yes, I made a video about this just the other day. Check our YouTube channel on that very topic of our friend, what was his name? The Danish fellow. He got arrested by ICE on his naturalization interview because he never filed a 751 and he's facing deportation. So I always say that your N400, your citizenship, is their last chance to deport you. Alberto, I have my oath ceremony set up. I just got divorced. I'll be taking the divorce documents with me. Is that okay? Anything else to take? What should I say? If you applied on the 3-year rule, Alberto, you have to withdraw your N400 even with your oath ceremony. You have to be married on the day of your oath ceremony in order for the 3-year N400 to be valid. If not, they will take you out of line and you will not be able to naturalize. So if you applied under the 5-year rule, that's fine. Just bring your divorce decrees. If you applied under the 3-year rule, you're going to have to withdraw it and start over. All right. Alicia, XX. I filed my case June 10th, 2024 for my husband who's in Pakistan. I'm a U.S. citizen. Is it okay if I go to Pakistan and stay there for a couple of months? Sure. And what if he gets his visa interview while I'm there? Well, if you just applied in June last year, he's probably, 8 to 12 to 14 months from getting his interview. So that's okay. Will it affect his visa? Or am I supposed to come back before that? No, you can go stay with him. You just don't want to abandon your residency. And I really don't want you in Pakistan at the time of the interview because they might call you in and try to do a Stokes interview. Gigi asks, how true is it that you have to have 5 years of good moral character after your felony case is dismissed? I would say these days it's 100% true. If you didn't finish probation, in most cases you have to wait till probation to be completed and then have 5 years of good moral character. Zudi, I have an I-130 pending, but husband deported on his own to Canada in fear of old deportation order. Okay. SSG, if H-4 visa renewal is submitted to USCIS and the I-94 date is passed, the H-4 can stay in the U.S.? Yes, but only for a limited amount of time, and they can't work. I'm assuming that you mean that it was filed while the person was still in status. You might, if premium processing is available for that, you might think about doing that. All right. All right. So that's TikTok for now. Let's go to Sana, then MH, then Subber. Sana, hello.
Hi, James. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing, Sana?
Good. Thank you for your time and your show. I have a question. My question is regarding share life evidence, such as utility bills and mortgage. Excuse me. All of these bills are paid by my husband, and all of the bills are by his name. Basically, he is paying for almost 90% of the bills. So,
Sure.
do I still have to, like, print all those and put it with my case, or like, what is your advice?
Well, do you and your spouse have a joint bank account?
Yes, sir, we do have one.
Do you pay the bills out of that joint bank account?
No, that's a saving account, so we usually save money in that.
Okay. And I mean, generally it's good when people get married to have a joint checking account that they pay all their bills out of. They put all their money in there and they pay all their bills out of there. When you can demonstrate that both members of the couple have access to the money to pay bills or to take cash out on the ATM, whatever, that's better than just having a savings account where the couple puts some money just to save. It's better than nothing, but if you're talking about documenting a shared life, you having both people able to use the account is better. Now, if your spouse is the only one working and you're staying at home and the account that they're using to pay the bills is the account they've always used and it's at your current address and they're paying for bills that support your joint life, that's good too. You're just going to have to do a little bit of explaining.
Okay, so your advice is basically to open a checking account and pay the bills through that.
That's always my advice. Mm-hmm.
Okay, what about like mortgage or lease? Because when I got married, he already bought his house.
Yeah.
So all the mortgage, the house stuff, the house deed, he did put my name in it, but the
Yeah.
mortgage, so it's on his name. What do you think about that?
That's okay. I mean, remember, this is just one piece of evidence. You hopefully have lots of other kinds of evidence. So, evidence of your trips together, evidence of how you met, evidence of other accounts that you have in both your names. That's all good too, right? So this is
Yeah.
just one piece of the puzzle, it's not the whole puzzle.
Right. I actually download the evidence that the one that it was free from your website. I downloaded it. It helped a lot. Thank you so much. So
Sure.
I'm going to do that.
Good.
Yes. Yeah. So like that was the only part, like, I was confused. I was like, so do we have to, like print all those bills that he's paying by his name? But I kind of got an answer.
I would send some. How long have you been married?
Um, Almost 2 years in this June. So it's gonna be 2 years.
And you haven't filed yet, or you did?
No, so actually, I entered as parole to the United States. I applied for asylum, got approved. Then I got married. I applied for, marriage-based green card. I got approved. I do have a 2-year green card, and I'm just trying to get ready for 2026 to apply for 10-year green card. I just want to do all this stuff now. I don't want to be surprised at the end of,
Yeah. You're
2026.
doing great. You're doing great, Sana. Good work.
Thank you so much. So, one more question. Does the traffic stop tickets impact the case?
Like if a police officer gives you a traffic citation?
Yes, I got a ticket for impeding traffic. Like, do you think those tickets, it's just one, but I don't know, in future we don't know what's gonna happen
You're
with
talking about citizenship or for your 10-year green card?
for my 10-year green card.
Yeah, no. Either way, it's not going to affect either of them.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much again. And I'm a big fan.
Thanks, Sana. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
All right, let's go to MH. Hello, MH.
Hello, Mr. Jim. How are you?
I'm doing great, MH. How are you doing?
I am doing good, sir. I have my citizenship interview on 16th of this month, and with your advice, this is again a question about the traffic tickets.
Sure.
I had some tickets before my adjustment of status. There are 4, only 1 speeding ticket including on that. But my lawyers that time didn't include anything on that, and said that if the interview gonna ask, and then you can tell them. But in my interview, no question about traffic fine was asked or something like that. So everything was going good. And before I apply my N400, I actually called you or get in the show, and you said that you have to disclose them. So I disclosed all my tickets, which one I found in my court system, because it's a long, I'm here for last almost 10 years, more than 10 years now.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I gathered all these and I put everything on the N400. So recently I got a show from another lawyer, and he's saying that it's a mispresentation that you might did in your green card, and they might gonna deny you and issue an NTA. And I'm just scared for my interview now. I need your advice for this, please.
Okay, so you're saying that you have traffic matters that you disclose on your N400, but not on your 485.
Correct, sir.
And how many traffic citations would there have been if you had listed them on your 485?
That's gonna be all like 4 tickets, including 1 speeding ticket.
And what were the other 3?
Those are only the stop sign tickets.
But still moving violations.
Yes, sir.
Well, do you mean stoplight, like red light camera tickets?
No. One is red light. That is my earlier, and 2 is fail to obey the stop sign, and 1 is speeding. So those are 4.
So the question is, Jim, do you think that USCIS will deny my N400 and issue me an NTA because I didn't disclose some traffic matters on my 485?
Correct, sir.
Were any of and those 4 traffic tickets were over how much of a time period?
Those are all until the last ticket I got in 2018.
Well, what I'm asking is, if you look at the 485 that you filed back then, I don't know which version of the 485 you filed, but I would imagine that they were really only concerned with citations in the last 5 years. I don't know that for sure, but that's something to think about. And so you might try to limit the number that were actually in the answer to the question that you didn't provide. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So in other words, if they're only looking back 5 years and you have 4 tickets, but 3 of them were 7 years ago, then that wouldn't have even applied, right? Like
yes.
You wouldn't have had to list those. So you need to go back and look at your 45 and see what maybe you should have actually admitted to. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
And then the big question is, was your failure to disclose these traffic matters something that would have kept you from getting your lawful permanent resident status? And I think the answer to that is almost for sure no. And so therefore, I would argue that it wasn't material, that any alleged failure by you to disclose these traffic matters would not have impacted whether or not you got your green card. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So I would argue, I think it's unlikely. I think the chances, so let me say this. I can't think of a naturalization interview I've ever been to where they asked the client about traffic citations and then went back to look at the 45 to see if they had been disclosed on the 45. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. That's what you told me last time, that they're not gonna go back and check on all these things. So you must have to disclose everything. So since the question has ever, so
Yeah.
I didn't look back into the time limit or that. I listed actually whatever I got from my court system. I try to be honest on that.
But I'm saying if you show up at your N400 interview, they're going to say, MH, what traffic tickets have you gotten? Have you ever been arrested, cited, or detained? You're going to say, yes, I've been cited. How many times have you been cited? Over the last 15 years, I've been cited 4 times, all for traffic. I paid all my tickets, and then you're going to be quiet. And then most likely they're going to go on. They might ask for proof that you paid it, but other than that, they're going to move on to the next set of questions. I think it's very unlikely that they'll go back and try to look at your 45 and your answers to that. And even if they do, I would argue that it wasn't material and it wasn't deliberate and it had no impact on whether or not you should have gotten your green card.
Okay, sir. Yep. I just need some encouragement for you actually for my interview in 2 weeks, because I'm scared about these other lawyers. They're saying that all these things and under this situation.
I think that's just scaring you. I don't think that's accurate.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
All right,
Thank
let
you.
us know how it goes. All right, that was MH. Yeah, I'm sure he took care of him. He said he did, military bishop. Thank you. Suber, hello. Hello, Suber. We can't hear you. All right, Suber's out of here. Let's go to I751 and Visa. Then we'll go to AZ. Then we'll go to DW. I751, hello.
Hello, sir. Yes. So you hear me now, right?
Yeah.
Great. So I have just a quick question. I'll give you the scenario concisely. I came here in 2017. I am gay and I am from a country that would practically torture me or kill me if I go back there.
Okay.
Anyway, I came here on a K1 visa 2017. I got married to my husband and we've been together since. I also, after I get married to him, within the 90 days, almost in the first week, because we already knew each other before then, 2 years, and we have a substantial history and evidence on the K1 visa. Anyway, we got married, and I overstayed my visa because we just simply, he got sick and we did not have the money to file for the AOS. I overstayed my visa after that by 171 days. Never left the US or anything. But then 171 days, that's the day my receipt for the I-485 was issued.
Okay.
So I've just counted that. I've done some research. I think that stops me from accruing unlawful presence once I have that submitted. I'm not sure how that works. In any case, my attorney at the time who filled the I-485 for us, he, similar to your first caller here, he made the answer to the question, have I ever violated my non-immigrant status? He mentioned no. And I remember when I asked him about that, he said the K1 visa will not count. Nonetheless, so this is kind of a immaterial representation, I would say, or hope. But when I went to the interview in 2019, I told the immigration officer, hey, I overstayed that visa when he asked me that question. And he said, this doesn't matter. And he immediately just dismissed it, like did not even matter to him. I'm not sure if he documented that or made any corrections or anything, but that was clarified verbally. Now, fast forward to now, we already filed I-751 in 2021. It's still pending because what happened is that in 2022, me and my husband separated because I went to school to get my graduate degree to improve our income. I'm the younger, the healthier one. We decided to do that. Families do make decisions like this. And we are now back together since I graduated a year ago. And, we proved everything in our story, say. But in any case, my I-751 is still pending, and we already filed for citizenship. I do have 3 traffic tickets in 2024. They are all within almost 1 month. They all happened. One of them was a speeding ticket that I paid, was on an, I'm not sure really if I was speeding, but I did not find it. The officer told me I was speeding 20 miles above speeding limit on an interstate highway. And I just paid it so I don't have to travel to that county. And another 2 tickets, they were at the same time. One of them was for expired tag, and the other one or registration, and the other ticket was for the registration not being displayed. And that was me not knowing that I have to display it because laws are different in Texas. It's not like Arizona, for example, where I used to live before then. In any case, we filed for N400. We disclosed all of these tickets. We have a good, strong evidence. We now are able of having a joint account since we had better finances. We've even been to marriage counseling before. So, I mean, nothing out of the ordinary of a normal couple, you would say. My stress now in question is about would I be susceptible to any problems when I go for the N400 or I751 interview? Would they, give me issues about that overstay? And another thing, I'm afraid of being arrested or detained because nowadays there's just no consistency to their practices. And also, could they, open up now that mistake on my I-485, even though I declared it during the interview?
Is this something that you're spending a lot of time worrying about?
Yeah, I'm a very detailed person and I do everything by the book, but life is not perfect and you can never,
Yeah,
I even.
I would strongly say that of all the things that you mentioned, there's only one thing that I'm worried about, and it's not what you're worried about. So I don't want you to worry anymore about, and I wouldn't even call it an overstay. I would just say we waited a while to file our 45. The fact that you married a U.S. citizen means that's all forgiven. It should never come up. Don't bring it up. Don't be thinking about it. You don't ever have to worry about that again. Okay, that is forgiven.
Thank you.
And then as far as worrying about, and so therefore, your answers on the 45, that's fine. Nobody cares about that. Traffic, not a big deal. That's not going to keep you from being able to get your citizenship. The one thing that I'm worried about that you didn't really raise as an issue is, did you apply on the 3-year rule or the 5-year rule?
3-year rule. And
of the 3 years before you filed, so in other words, take the day you filed and subtract 3 years, how much of that time were you and your husband living in the same location?
so that's where it needs a little bit of an explanation. What happened is when I was at the university, I was living in university housing during the class semester. But otherwise, when there are weekends or anything, I go back to our home in Myrtle Beach and I would travel back and forth. So my residence, my permanent residence was Myrtle Beach. And just like a student, you will go to study and come back, or just like somebody who has to travel for work and come back. That was for about 2.5 years. So if we were living physically under the same roof every day for 3 years, no. But were we sharing the same house and I just go for school and come back and I have documentation of multiple trips and just constant communication and all between us, then I would say yes.
So my understanding is that in 2022, the Biden administration changed the rules and made it so that you actually have to be living as husband and husband for the full 3 years almost every day. So what you've proposed to me is something that would have worked throughout the time I've been an immigration lawyer up until the time that the Biden people changed the rules. So I do not believe that your N400 is approvable. And if you'd asked me, I would have told you to wait to file it until the 5 years.
So for the 5 years, I've been a green card holder for 6 years, and I'm waiting for the I-751 to be approved in this case. Wait.
You've had your green card for 6 years, you said?
So the 2 years green card was issued to me in 2018, and when it was going to expire in 2021, we filed for the I-70.
Why didn't you just file it on the 5-year rule then?
So 2 things. My understanding was that I am waiting for the I-751 to be approved. So I thought I cannot
That's
apply
great.
under the 5 years rule unless I had. Okay,
Nope.
that's a mistake on my attorney's side.
So,
He
but
should
wait,
have
but
noticed.
wait. So I'm not saying you should withdraw your N400. I would go and roll the dice because I don't know how uniformly that rule is applied. I mean, well, I guess there's different arguments. I don't know how uniformly that rule is applied. And I think there's a chance that they might approve it even though you were away at school. But that just is going to invite lots of scrutiny of the marriage. The reason I would have wanted you to apply on the 5-year rule is because then you take away all that discussion of the marriage itself, right? It's still fair game, but when you apply on the 5-year rule, there's much less discussion of that.
They would still, I mean, interview us for the I-751 at least. I mean,
Yeah,
the
right.
discussion of the marriage will happen there either way.
Yeah, but the 751, you're right, has to get approved, but that is approvable even though you were away at school and coming home on the weekends. The N400, I believe, is not.
I see. Can we make an amendment to it, or this
That's what
has to be a new application?
That's the other reason why I would at least take my shot and say, hey, I know I applied under the 3-year rule, but on the day that I applied, my green card was more than 5 years old. Can you convert it right here on the spot? I don't think that they can. I don't think that they will, but I would not withdraw the case unless you're worried about them scrutinizing the marriage. And as you say, they have to look at the marriage anyway for the 751.
Okay. Well,
Do you have an interview notice?
what do you mean? Do I have an interview notice?
Have you received an interview notice for the 751 or the N400 yet?
Oh, no. And I am going to have an added stamp, and I'm also really worried about that. It really keeps me up at night. I do not want to get detained or anything.
I'm not. Put all that stuff aside. You're not going to get detained. You haven't done anything wrong. There's nothing that makes you subject to deportation. So I understand the overall concern, but there's nothing specific about your case that should make you feel that way.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Well, then the last thing, just to make it short for the others as well. We have claimed that we always lived together. It's not like we said we're living separately. When we explained to them and provided with them all the RFE documents, we always said, hey, we maintain shared living residence and we live together. I'm only going to school and I come back when I'm off school. So we never claimed that I am living away. I am living with him, but I go to school. So I'm not sure how they will interpret that, as you said, but that really what we claimed, and it is really what happened.
So I am concerned about that then. So what you're saying is, like, for all of your paperwork, you use your Myrtle Beach address, not your school address.
Yes.
So in other words, USCIS has no way of knowing through information that you've provided that you guys lived apart. In other words, when you filed your 751, you didn't submit evidence of how you would come back every weekend.
The I-751 was submitted before I went to school. That's only during an RFP. They asked us.
How long has your 751 been on file?
Since 2021 May.
That's bizarre.
It is. And it's only because, I'm not one of those fancy countries for them to get my application moving forward. Really, it is ridiculous to, by all means. In
other words, you're saying you feel like your country is one that's held up to extra scrutiny from USCIS.
It is. I know for a fact. And there is nothing really, I cannot really share here a lot, but by their living standards, I'm more American than most. But what can I say?
And you said that you're from a country where if they found out you were gay, so I can, we can all figure out what kind of a country or what country you're talking about. So I'm not worried about that. So, okay. So 4 years for a 751 is nuts. And what I'm worried about. So here's what I would do if I were you. I would hire us or some other lawyer to help you document the shit out of the fact that you traveled as much as you did. Like, I would basically rebuild a case. I mean, I would submit evidence of your shared life over the last 4 years with them. Okay. And then I would send that to them and say, hey, we just want to make sure you guys are aware of our exact living situation. This case is still eminently approvable. It's a valid marriage. I went back to see my husband every week, and I was just going to school. Here's my diploma. Here's my grades. Here's everything I was doing. Here's why I had to do it in this other state. Here's where he would come see me. Here's where I go see him. And then I would send them all that shit. And then I would tell them, this case has been pending for 4 years. If you don't schedule me for an interview or give me an approval in the next 30 days, I'm going to sue your ass in federal court and ask a judge to compel you to decide this case.
I've already thought of a mandamus action before I filed for citizenship, but once I filed for citizenship, I thought I would wait a little bit. And now that you also mentioned it, for having to be in the same roof house for 3 years, is that the day I file for citizenship or the day they interview me? Because if I actually let them just continue in their delay and hold my application for another 2 years or so, I wouldn't have to worry about the N400 then, and I can just move on all these cases at once. I'm already used to just being ghosted and
The day
delayed
that
by
you
them.
filed. It's the day you filed.
Okay, so there's no point of waiting
What's the
for them.
receipt date? What's the receipt date on the 751?
Oh, it's
I'm sorry. What's the receipt date on the N400? Sorry.
It's in February. I do not remember the exact date.
February of
2025. Yes.
Oh, yeah. I would just withdraw that bad boy and file a new one on that. I wouldn't.
Okay.
You could wait another year for that, and then it gets denied, and you have the 5 years. So I would have a big old fight with them on the 751, get that nailed down, and then I would apply for my citizenship. I'd withdraw the one you have on file, and I would just fight over the 751. I'd get that nailed down, and then you're going to sleep better at night, and then you file for naturalization on your own.
Thank you. The last question before I go, if you have a moment, is that for the added stamp, my foreign passport has expired long ago, and I'm afraid of reaching out to my embassy for renewal, obvious reasons. But from what I read, they can give me an added stamp on a form I-94. I'm not an asylee. I have not applied for asylum at all. I do not know if they will consider my circumstances into factoring that I'm eligible for this or not.
I don't think they will, and frankly, I don't. With a 4-year pending 751, you shouldn't leave till you get that approved anyway. And so then, once you get that taken care of, then I would say just wait to travel on your U.S. passport after you get your citizenship.
I'm not planning to travel, but I'm trying to say, will they give me an added stamp without a
No,
foreign passport?
I do not believe they will.
So I need a passport, a foreign passport.
Mm-hmm.
And even though if I go to them, I have an identification, a real ID to prove my identity, they would still not give me an I-90 form with an added stamp on it.
Nope.
Without a passport.
Nope. Everyone has to have a passport.
Huh?
Everyone has to have a passport.
Yeah, but there is also an issue that when I apply to renew my passport, our embassy updated their administrative practices and they shortened the middle name. So now the renewed passport would have a shortened middle name for me. Will Homeland Security even recognize that?
Sure. Sure, especially if you can document that. Especially if you can document that it was because of administrative changes at the home embassy, not because of something you did.
Yeah, but I do not know how to provide that. The embassy has it on their website on the form that they only accept now certain name length, but I'm not sure how that's communicated.
So my name is James Oliver Hacking III. So if all of a sudden it said James Olive Hacking III, nope, everyone's going to know that's you. That's not a big deal.
Okay.
Same date of birth, same full name, other than the abbreviation. No one's going to care.
It's actually the middle name. It's 3 words, and they make it now 2 words only, and it's
no big deal. Not a big deal.
Okay, I'll try to get that, and then I will look into the N400. I appreciate your support.
Have a good day. All right, Hina's got some questions for me over on TikTok. Let me try to knock those out. 10-year green card, divorced, got remarried. Can it affect my citizenship? The 10-year green card is through my first marriage. It depends who you married. If you married someone back in the home country, that could cause problems. If you married a U.S. citizen here in the United States, that's probably safer. We came in 94. My parents never filed an N600 for my sister. Is it safe to file now? Her green card has expired. If she's a U.S. citizen, she should apply for an N600. Yes. If someone accidentally registered to vote in high school, will that be a problem to be getting citizenship? Well, that's a false claim to citizenship, and that's voting. That's a deportable offense. So they have to show timely retraction, and the fact that they voted might be a reason why they can't ever apply for citizenship. Certainly not a good time to apply. Can you travel domestically with your passport if you don't have a real ID? Does TSA report to ICE? I would say yes and yes. So if you're out of status and all you have is your passport, I would not travel. I would not go to the airport. That's a place where TSA and ICE both work. All right. Everything says I have a 2-year green card. My spouse asked me to move out of the house. I'm 14 months out of 2 years being married. 14 months out of 2 years being married. What to do? You're going to have to file a 751 on your own when the time comes. If you want to move out and you want to get divorced, you can file without your spouse. It's just a lot harder, and you're going to need as much marriage evidence as you can get. And you probably need a lawyer's help with that. We work on those cases a lot. Rosa Martinez, if my husband got deported 8 years ago, he's a 20-year bar. Can I fix his paper? I'm a U.S. citizen. Maybe, but it's really, really hard. You're going to have to show some real hardship. Okay. We have an update on Alberto. So let's see. Alberto said, my oath ceremony set up. I just got divorced. I'll be taking the divorce documents with me. Is that okay? Okay. Now it says, oath ceremony set, recently divorced. I was married for 17 years. I filed under the 5 years rule. Yeah, you'll be fine. You just got to tell them what happened and show them documentation, and you'll have to fill out that form on the back of your interview notice, and you should be fine. All right, I'm going to take one more call real quick from AZ. AZ, I got 2 minutes.
Hey, Jim. I'll try to make this quick. Pretty much been married for the last about 6 years. I did apply for the N400 under the 3-year rule. That's last year around June. Although this year, spouse and I have had some issues, and we're going through a divorce. So last month and a half ago, I did withdraw the N400. Although I don't have any acknowledgement. I still have on the portal case under review. Do they usually acknowledge that, or does it still kind of go through to the interview step? And
it seems to me lately they've gotten much worse about acknowledging withdrawals. I think it's low on their list of priorities. I think they're instead looking for people to deport. So I've been having a lot of people report to me that they're not getting notices acknowledging withdrawals.
Got it. Great. Thanks. Yeah, I was worried about that. I was worried they'd still try and schedule me and whatnot.
They might just, if they do, just resend it. Okay. With each notice they send you, send them the same thing again. Say, as previously outlined in my letter of May 3rd, 2025. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. All right.
All right. Good luck. Sorry about the divorce.
Yeah. No problem. Thank you.
All right, everybody. That'll do it for today's show. I will be back tomorrow. Let's see what time tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Tomorrow, I think it's an early one because I'm filming in the afternoon. Yep, 10 a.m. tomorrow. We'll be back. I hope you guys all have a great night. Hina, thank you for your help. Everybody, have a good day. See ya. I'm great about that, other than trying to help people who are in a state of invasion.